Welcome back, dear viewers. It's clearly been a while since I've last released a video. My last one was about the Casio FZ1 sampler, and yes, I've promised another video on that synth and I'm still planning to do that, but since I finished my last video, I had to tackle another synth related problem, and I think this might be a pretty common one. So I thought I'll turn this into a video as well. This video is a little detour from my usual content. If you've been following this channel for a while, you will know that I featured quite a lot of synths and drum machines in the last few years, all of which I still own and until very recently crammed into about 2 square meters of space. My synth corner was becoming increasingly more stuffed, so much so that I had to start to squeeze myself into it when I wanted to use my synths, while more and more stuff was still piling up. While finds have become rarer in the last year or so, I still keep discovering cheap and interesting bad gear I often end up buying. So for a while now, I've been planning to move and rearrange my synth stuff to another space, where I can store stuff more efficiently and of course, have it out quickly and actually use it to play with it and record the results too. While the new space still is pretty tiny, it's less than 8 square meters in total, I've thought a lot about ways to arrange everything as economically and ergonomically as possible. While doing so, I tried to stay true to the rejected synths formula as much as possible and used only cheap DIY solutions I want to share with you in this video. I will start my little tour with a very obvious problem when working with synths. They often come with a lot of black and white keys that make them big and bulky. While I really dig small form factor keyboards like my Alesis Micron or my Casio HT700, big and bulky keyboards are often much easier to find and a lot cheaper too. Yes, you can get a space-saving Kawai K1 rack synth, but it's often 2 or 3 times as expensive as a keyboard K1. There are sometimes smaller variants of synths like the Casio CZ1, but again, the bigger CZ3000 can often be found cheaper and a lot easier. So, because I always try to keep synth costs down, I've ended up with quite a few full-size keyboards that I now need to squeeze into my new space. To save space and make knob wriggling more economic, you've probably noticed many people setting up their synths at an angle. Very often fancy adjustable stands are used to create a keyboard stand. These stands come at a price though, so to avoid these costs I've spent some time at the local home improvement store to find a cheap alternative. After some browsing I found these universal and very affordable shelf rails. The arms come in a ton of different sizes and are also dirt cheap. While they hold the synth just fine, of course installing a synth at an angle requires some more DIYing. I've bought some wooden shelf boards, you can get these at a ton of different sizes too, and added some metal angles at one side. So depending on the length of the arms and the dimensions of the boards you can create different angles. The synths sit on these just fine and can be arranged very flexibly. All in all, a synth rack for 4 or 5 synths costs a fraction of a Jasper stand and even has the benefit that it takes up considerably less space as I've mounted them directly to the wall. The next problem I needed to tackle was that with so many machines I needed to find a way to wire everything up so that I can use every combination of machines at any time. Tons of outputs and also inputs would either need a massive mixing console or, and that's what I went for, audio patch bays. I'd already used Behringer Ultra Patch bays in my last setup and now I simply needed more of these. Good thing that they are cheap and readily available pre-owned. With tons of ports of course I needed tons of cables too. Buying all of these cables again can end up being a substantial investment. Who likes to spend hundreds on something as boring as cables? I sure don't, so my solution was to solder all of my own cables. Plugs can be found cheaply if you buy them in bulk from China, and even quality cable can be had for a reasonable price if you buy 50 or even 100 meters at a time. Another benefit is that you can make them just as long as you need them to be. Soldering itself is pretty simple and once you've finished 100 cables, you've learned how to do it. Synths need power too, and as I don't have a lot of power outlets in my new synth room, I've organized power with switchable power strips. As synths typically don't draw a lot of power, doing this should be safe to do. Also, I can use the power strip switches to turn on groups of machines at once. MIDI is another issue that needs a solution that I have actually already done a whole video on too. While you can daisy chain MIDI synths, at some point the chain might be too long, adding too much lag, so I went with a number of MIDI through boxes. These again can be sourced as DIY solutions from eBay. Got these DIY 8x MIDI 2 boxes from Portugal. Again, they need a little soldering, but this way I can connect everything with minimal lag, utilizing a number of these boxes and a central MIDI merger. This way I can also control everything through my MC909 and a computer running Cakewalk at the same time. As I also own a number of rack synths and FX units, I again could have went with a fancy rack, but instead opted for a DIY solution utilizing some wooden boards originally meant for construction sites. These have been cut to fit the available space in the most economic fashion. I fitted them with universal sliding rack rails to add as much flexibility as possible. The rack holds some of my synths, effect units, the patch bay and my main mixer. Last but not least, I needed a storing solution for all these Volcas and other small synths, cables, adapters and other random stuff. Here I opted for a combination of more shelf rails, cheap plastic shelves and lots of boxes from IKEA. I can pull out these small synths and drum machines quickly and have them connected in no time. Yes, it does look like a mess, but I can fit lots of stuff, keep it organized and have stuff connected in no time when I need it. I hope you like my little studio tour. In case you've been wondering why there haven't been any videos in the last few months, this space sure is tiny, but planning, building and setting everything up did take me ages. I'm very happy with my new space and hope that I'll be able to bring you a lot more new videos from here. As you might have seen, there are quite a few machines in here that I haven't featured yet. So see you soon with another synth, or maybe with that follow-up FZ1 video I've been promising months ago.